Welcome back to the Pals Podcast. My name is George Boutsales.
Psych.
No, it's not. It's Ricky Liordi, and I'm your co-host. And I'm here with my dear pal,
George Boutsales, a.k.a. Georgie B. I don't think I've ever been called that in my life. This week, we had on Kristina Pittam, entrepreneur, fashion designer, podcast host, vlogger. This girl's pretty impressive, done quite a bit. She started a fashion brand called Reyna, which started as a bodysuit brand, kind of got into other verticals, which she talks about on the episode. Talked about how she got into podcasting and vlogging and fashion and all that good stuff. Really interesting, really fun episode, great discussion. Awesome guest. My pal, Richard, who's this episode brought to you by?
We want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Ilberry and Goose. Truly unique, entirely Canadian. They've sent us some great products. Awesome stuff. Check it out. We'll post the tag in the caption and in the bio. And Georgie, what do we say?
LFG.
Let's go.
Check. Okay.
Get this party started.
Let's go.
So
Starting it up. You gonna tee it up?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, Georgie, I was going to let you tee it up today. So today we've got the lovely Kristina Pittam in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks
Welcome
for having
to the
me.
Pals Podcast.
Yes. Usually I start off the podcast, but we said, you know what? Today we'd let Georgie fire off the first question.
So,
Getting
big
right
moment.
into it.
This is a big
No,
moment.
it's honestly, it's not like intimidating anything, but we just realized you're leaving for the UK tomorrow.
Yeah.
So is this like your last stop, or you just back on the plane first thing tomorrow morning and you're out of here?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I have a couple things left to do. I feel like there's always loose ends that you have to tie right before you leave, no matter how prepared you think you are. But yeah, this is one of the last work things, I guess. I'm gonna call it work thing because it's
Wow.
a little self-promotion.
I like that. I like that we are a work thing.
I
This
think
makes me
so.
feel very official.
Some
Yeah.
PR, you know.
Of course.
100%, man.
Well, you're you do a little bit of everything. You're started your own fashion brand, you podcast, you vlog. I don't know, first of all, how you find the time to do everything, which is pretty
Don't
crazy.
even
And then now
ask.
you're lifting back up, going to the UK. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I'm still kind of living there. I have my 2-year visa, so technically my plan was to be there, obviously, with everything happening. So uncertain, but we'll see. I mean, I want to get a job there if I can. I feel like now the only reason to stay would be that because, you know, the networking events aren't there and all of that isn't there. So I need to have a solid reason. If not, you know, my company is based out of Toronto, so it makes sense for me to be here as well.
but you can do a lot of the stuff. You do everything remotely, more or less, right? Are your manufacturers, everyone based in Toronto, or is people scattered all over? How does that?
Yeah, so everything is based here. We are a small company, a year and a half in. So we are local production. We have a small team. My mom obviously helps me a lot too. So she kind of does all of the operation stuff.
Shout out to the mothers listening. We got a lot of mothers listening, so shout out to you
Honestly,
guys.
my mom's the biggest fans of this
Yeah,
episode. Or this podcast, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and just so Ricky knows, it's Reyna is the brand.
So yeah.
Rick's a little bit new in the designer side. He's not as up to
Man,
speed.
I'm just H&M t-shirts steady. No, I'm kidding. Actually, not really.
You wear that shit. We worn that.
I wear my Pals Podcast shirt
Everywhere.
every day. It is available online, thepalspod.com.
Check it out.
$34.99, $29.99.
Yeah, they're going like hot.
I don't even know how much they cost.
We're gonna do a collab with Reyna for the next one. So
Oh,
get these
let's
while they're
do
hot.
it.
Oh.
Every guy is Kristina, you need to make bodysuits for men. I'm maybe not bodysuits, but
Maybe we do bodysuits for
Wait,
women with the Pals
we
podcast.
do onesies.
that's good. Actually,
Sick ass
that would be good.
onesies.
Should we do a cross collab?
We're
Guys,
discussing this
let us
live.
know.
Exclusive.
Slide in our
You just heard it.
DMs.
You just heard it here. Well, no, yeah. Talking about that. What's your favorite part of what you do? Do you like the fashion side the most? Working with the vlog, podcast. What's the thing you enjoy most about what you do? Which one aspect of it is it?
I mean, I would say, I got into content creation and influencing early on, but I kind of used that and the reason to grow that because I wanted to start Reyna, which is, for you guys listening, a women's wear label based out of Toronto. Everything is made ethically and we're trying to be as sustainable as we can as well. But yeah, we are, for me, it's really having the platform and then being able to connect with my community and then translate them into potential customers. Yep. So I love building a business. It's really fucking hard though. It's definitely way harder than I thought it would be. took way longer, and it's taking way longer than I thought it would. And it really, you can't really predict that.
Yeah.
Well, especially 2020, nobody can predict this.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think everything that I do, and this is at least what I tell myself to make it sound a little bit more sane, but everything that I do kind of goes hand in hand in working with one another. So, obviously having a platform and a community translates into customers, which is what I mentioned before, but also like everything is fashion related. In the podcast, I interview guests of people that I admire, that I aspire to be, and I get like to have an hour conversation with them. So I'm kind of like, this is all like a win-win.
It's like you're doing almost like you're doing R&D for your brand, getting to pick their brain and understand what they've gone through and how that translates to what you're doing. So it's all kind of like there's synergies across what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. No, sorry, I was just going to say, because I guess the vlog and the podcast is based for your fashion line, right? Like it's kind of, it all leads to that center almost.
Well, it's funny you say that because for a while I was, trying to do the content creation thing or influencer thing, whatever you guys want to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
both. I guess they both kind of go hand in hand. But like,
yeah,
you can't be an influencer if you don't create content.
But you're also a content creator because like you edit all your stuff, like your videos, your vlogs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so like,
no, absolutely. Yeah. No, there's like a
so like you can be
right?
like, you can post pictures on Instagram and be like an influencer, but you also like editing is part of the thing that goes behind the scenes. Like that's the tough part too. So technically, yeah, content creation kind of goes hand in hand with it.
Yeah. So I was even trying to thought.
So okay. I can't remember now what you had asked originally.
I was just saying that how it all leads into fashion, right? The podcast, the vlog,
yeah.
It's all working towards that, I guess, your love for fashion, right? And then eventually, obviously, building your own brand, building your own company.
Yeah.
All these things helped you to get to this current spot.
So I remember what I was going to say now, and I was going to say,
thank
you.
Pale them out like
how, I was trying to do this, thing, but separate from my brand. And it's such a competitive space. Everyone is an influencer these days. Yeah. Everyone has an Instagram following.
Or so it's an influencer.
It's hard to stand out.
No, I'm kidding.
But so my friend was kind of reframing it to me, and she's like, why don't you make your brand an extension of Reyna instead of it being the other way around? So now I am actually trying to make all of my platforms be like Reyna be at platform, at the beginning or at the core, and then everything else kind of stemming off of that.
Makes sense.
So do you find that like have your vlog, because you also vlog as well, has that changed? Or because you've always kind of had, it's always been very fashion based from what I remember. Like has it changed, or has that kind of always been that way and your podcast changed to adapt more, or did you have to kind of shift everything to align with the narrative more?
I'm in the process of shifting it, but something that I started when I was in the beginning of, developing the brand was doing, behind the scenes vlogs of like what goes down in the process, and really educating people on the process. And I dropped one vlog, and it did like the first one, I guess, of the series, and it did really well. And people were like, oh my God, like this is so helpful. And I was like, okay, I have something here. So I dropped a few others, and now we're kind of like paused for a bit, but I have the 3 vlogs that I told you I have to edit. Those are mostly like all behind the scenes stuff. Okay. So whether it's like my day to day, me driving to Hamilton, to the seamstress, going to my pattern maker, doing fittings, or, we just did 2 campaign shoots. So also behind the scenes of that. So it really is, I think the feedback I've gotten is that it's really great to see the process. And that's also what's differentiating me from other vloggers or creators.
Yeah. So to talk about that, I guess that episode, what's a typical day or week look like for you? Like, I guess the behind the scenes stuff. So you said the seamstress, the pattern maker, photo shoots.
Yeah. So right now, because of quarantine,
before going to London.
Yeah. And even back now, like the past 4 months, I've been doing product development, just trying to pump out as much products that we can to like launch over the next few months, because I am here and it is very hands-on. But I guess my day in the life or week in the life would be, I have designs that I come up with. I had an intern that helped me with the technicals, because I don't really have a skill set in that. And then once we have the designs that we like, we go into the pattern maker and we kind of ask him to make some samples or some patterns for us. Then I bring the patterns to the seamstress. She makes the sample. And then once I try it on, we normally have adjustments. It really depends on the piece, but you normally don't get it on the first try, Now we're actually we just launched a new category, I think by the time this comes out, which is tops. So we've diversified our product line since the quarantine happened, seeing as, our bodysuits are a little bit more expensive, a little bit higher price point, and maybe people don't really have the means to spend on that on a brand that they don't trust yet.
Yep.
So with the new product line, we wanted to offer tops that were a little bit of a lower price point that might, get people to build and trust the brand, and then kind of build that long-term customer that will buy a bodysuit down the line.
Yeah.
So there is, pattern maker, seamstress, try on the sample, then go back to the pattern maker, make adjustments, go back to the seamstress. So it's just a lot of like rotating.
When you say this, I'm thinking, have you guys ever watched Made in America?
The show with
The
Kid Cudi on HBO.
It was on HBO. They only did one season. So this guy,
Kid Cudi,
he wanted to make jeans. I forget the guy's name. He kind of looked a little bit like Lil Dicky almost.
Yeah.
So he wanted to.
It was a
create
great
this
show. I don't know
fashion
why it got
line.
canceled.
So the idea behind it is he wanted to make jeans, right? He's like,
New York. He lived in New York City.
He's like, I want to make these cool jeans. So he got them. He measured them, sent them to, I guess, like the seamstress or whoever makes jeans. And they gave him these like ugly, like straight-legged bell bottoms almost. And goes into this like meeting with this really important fashion designer to try and sell him these jeans. And he's like, I can't believe I'm wearing these. He walks in there. The jeans look terrible, obviously, but he was wearing this like graphic tee.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about when you're saying that you're going back, the first sample's never good. I'm just thinking that first sample just like horrendous. And you're like, I got to go back to the drawing board. Seamstress, like everyone's on phone, like speed dial.
Yeah. Well, it's really, I don't know what the word is, but it's just when you think that what you created is going to come out the way it does it
in your mind,
and then it doesn't. It's just like, it's almost like devastating.
Heart
you're like,
shattering.
Yeah. You're just like, wow, like this sucks. Like I remember I started, developing the brand a year before we launched, and I thought I had finally like gotten a sample that would be good. Right before going to Coachella, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear it to the Revolve party." And then
this is
2016,
17?
2 years ago, 3 years ago,
2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2017 because we launched November 1st, 2018.
Okay.
So I went to go. I bought this like special colored fabric too because I was like, oh, it's like Coachella, like it's burnt orange, like it'll be good with the tan, whatever.
Yeah.
And I get this seamstress to make it, and it literally came out like absolute shit. It didn't fit anywhere. It didn't hold anything. Like our competitive advantages is that our bodysuits are good for like holding up your bust. It did none of that. And I like went into the car and I actually put this in the vlog, and I was like literally crying because it was just like,
in your mind, you were like, I created this masterpiece, and in reality, it was like, I created this piece of.
like, why doesn't it fit, right?
But it's before you flew to Coachella with it. Like, you tried it here, like.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring it with me.
Okay, I was like, imagine the party.
George just pictures her walking through Coachella with this thing that doesn't fit properly.
Yeah, because like, I mean, that would have been pretty bad. But yeah, definitely good to try it on before you go.
Yeah, no, I tried it on at her place, and I was like in the bathroom, and I was literally crying. I was like,
No.
And you're trying to tell this lady like, oh, you didn't screw up. You did a good job. Like,
well, it's funny because I had a lot of trouble finding a seamstress when I was starting out. I don't know why.
how do you find a seamstress? Sorry, like, is that a bad
Kijiji,
question?
I have no idea, right?
or
Yeah.
referral, but
I would have no idea. I'd be like, Mom,
Yeah.
do you know somebody?
I mean, if your mom knows, tell her to let me know
Elaine.
who to work with.
You know somebody, hit her up.
But it's weird. Like, it's the access to resources for seamstresses or pattern makers or manufacturers isn't readily available in Toronto.
Are they like mom and pop shops? Or are they like big, like bulk stores? Like who is there like a place that you go that they have 10 seamstresses working, or is it like someone's basement?
Both. We have a mix of both. Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually have two.
That wasn't a dumb question.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm looking. I
don't think anyone
nothing-
thought it was a dumb question.
My
pal. Rick's
first
judging his own questions.
my first girlfriend went to FIT
Yeah.
or Parsons. What's the big fashion school in
They're
New York?
both big.
Well, she went to one of those then, for sure. And like I remember, like I just picture her working in like a little like 100 square foot room, like no windows, like with a little sewing machine. That's what like in my head I picture. And I don't know what she's doing now, but I'm sure she's probably doing something if she went to one of those schools, right?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, hopefully. But yeah, it's really a mix of both. Like we do work with two manufacturers based out of Toronto that will do larger scale. So if we make over 100 units of a certain style, then we can go to them. But because we are a smaller brand and it is, you don't really want to invest in inventory because you don't want to be like sitting on product. Working with a seamstress who maybe has a helper, or if it's just her even, is normally the best way. It's a higher margin, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
you don't want to like have, pieces laying around that you'll have to throw out.
Pieces, yeah.
You have a little more customization. You can be a little more hands-on. It's going to cost you more per piece, but at least that way you can be a little more flexible.
Yeah.
So of all the pieces you've done so far since the launch to now, what's been the biggest hit?
The biggest hit?
Like maybe not a whole product, like even one release or one line or maybe one product, like anything.
I mean, I'd say our first collection, which was our core collection, is the best. It's the number one seller. It's not seasonal, which is great. So you can wear it all year round. And that also helps, because we can keep it all the time and we can have a bit of inventory held in those styles as well. But I'm really excited for the tops that we're launching this week and next week. So
I'm assuming all women's tops, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, actually, we are doing one silk blouse, like an oversized blouse.
Oh, that's my shit.
That is going to be unisex.
It's like almost like a Miami style, like silk
like you'd
open
wear it in
waist shirt.
Mykonos.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
George,
I'll cop one.
Georgie's soul.
Honestly, my closet, like behind this wall, it's like white plain t-shirts and then just like silk type pattern shirts or plain shirts.
Yeah, well, I was actually talking to Matt about it, and he's like, "Oh, I would wear that." I was like, "Okay, wait." That gave me the idea. Let's make it like unisex.
Mascot style. I would wear it. Mascot style. So just also jumping back, so we both know your core collection. What does your core collection entail so they know?
So our core collection we have 6 styles right now, but it is growing, and we have the black and ivory bodysuit, but they have our signature features, which are bust support, seamless wear, and an adjustable closure with a thong bottom, which for women listening, like, it's honestly a huge thing because it's hard to find something that like fits well that isn't going to show like panty lines and all of that when you're wearing jeans and all that stuff.
So that's something that's like not very common, or like it's not as common, people don't do it well. Like, what makes yours different than most?
Like, I personally was struggling to find something that was like sexy but supportive.
Yeah.
When I kind of started to do my research.
Sorry, so bodysuits, do they have support or they do not have support?
It depends on the fabric, really.
Okay. So some fabrics have support and some don't.
Yeah, like say if you wore a ribbed tank, even yourself, it would be like looser and stretchier than if you wore, maybe something with more compression in it, like that you'd work out in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, so we really managed to nail the fit with obviously a combination of the pattern, the way that the fabric is sewed together, but also the fabrics that we use. They can hold up your boobs without a bra. So it just worked out really well. And
Fire.
we kind of want to be known for that and be like the one-stop shop for bodysuits, but now, we are diversifying, so I think that there's always room to do that. If your audience wants it, like there's no reason not to.
Agreed. I was going to go back on the samples. Do you get better at making samples the more samples you make? Is it like the first one you had to redo 3 or 4 times? Now it's like you bang out a sample and it's like almost bang on?
Kind of. Like with our bodysuits, for example, we always use like our existing styles to recreate, so we can nail it.
So it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, but when you're going into now,
so let's say bodysuit versus your new tops.
Yeah.
Your first bodysuit, how many samples did it take before you were like, yes, this is it?
Honestly, like the moss, which is like our iconic style, that took me like 5 to 6 months to develop. Like, I don't even know how many samples.
Okay, so now compared to now, what's the new T-shirts you guys are launching?
I think the most samples that we made were like 3.
Okay, so
but
not
some
crazy. It just takes more time in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think there's kind of this rule of thumb with most designers. It's like if you have to do more than like 4 samples, maybe it's not working, and you should just change the design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's like a rule of thumb.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's an unwritten rule.
Don't coin me.
And when you were doing your first one, you never thought like, was there a point where you're like, fuck, it's been 5 months. Like, do I keep going or do like were you, okay, so let me rephrase that. Were you set on making this like your product that you knew that's what you wanted to make? Or at a certain point where you're like, okay, maybe this is not right. Maybe I should make like jump the T-shirts instead. Or
like,
were you just set on making it no matter how many it took to make it?
This one style or bodysuits?
The bodysuits, the first products you launched. The first line, I guess.
I knew it had to be bodysuits because I developed the whole business plan in a course in school, actually. Like the one key takeaway from university was this course in entrepreneurship. And they made us test and like ask people and validate like our idea. So there was a niche in the market, and I knew that was the only way to do it, because I actually originally thought maybe I'll do menswear, and there's a gap in like, you know, menswear that isn't, you know, high end, but isn't Zara or H&M.
Rick's a big H&M guy. If it's $10 t-shirt, it's value. How do you go wrong?
Yeah, I used to be a Zara guy too, actually. Now I don't have time to go to the malls anymore.
Yeah, we shop very differently.
Yeah,
very
for me, I'd rather buy a $10 t-shirt once a month and wear it a couple times. And each month I'll just buy another $10 t-shirt.
Ricky.
Yeah.
You gotta change that mindset.
I donate them. I don't throw anything out. I always donate my clothes when I'm done with them.
Okay.
Well, still, fast fashion is kind of like...
Well, it's like...
It's dead. We'll be dead soon.
Well, you know what I mean? What if I
hopefully.
spent like $200 on like a long tee? And it's like, I don't wear long tees anymore. But one summer I wore them like every day.
I don't know, like those shirts we're talking about, the ones like the Mykonos style shirts. Like I buy like ones that I spend money on. And I've worn one, like I traveled the world with one of mine. And it's still sitting in my closet. I don't wear it as often now, but like,
nicer
I
stuff.
I spend more money on less stuff, and I wear it more often. And I get more use out of it.
Yeah. That's kind of like building a capsule wardrobe too. You have nicer things that you like, but less of them.
Yeah, like in terms of nicer clothes, like my suits, my dress shirts and stuff like that, I'll splurge on. Well, not splurge, but like you need to get a nice suit. You can't be 30 years old without a couple proper suits.
Yeah,
even though I don't wear them, I maybe wear a suit 5 times a year, 7 times a year. You still need to have some, and I don't plan on changing my size much over the next 10 years. So hopefully I'm going to be this size for a while. The idea is that you have a couple, let's say $1,000 suits that fit you really well. But like for me, t-shirts and like stuff that are seasonal, I'd rather just spend again, like $10-15 in an H&M t-shirt. By the end of the summer, it's gone. I donated it somewhere else, and fall I buy couple more. I do a lot of my shopping in Florida though. Outlets. That's my thing. I'm an outlet guy.
You're like complete opposites.
Yeah, I'm like
Rick is like outlet. If it's value on sale, he'll buy it just to buy it.
Sometimes I might eat it tomorrow.
Rick's like, it's 50% off. How do you go wrong? You just buy it and he'll keep it. Like I have to go with a purpose. If it's on sale and I don't want it, I'm not buying it just to buy it. Whereas if you send this guy to an outlet mall, comes back with like a couple $100 in clothes.
When I go to Florida, it's actually insane. Like I'll buy, because I do all my shopping basically in Florida. I go to Florida once or twice a year. So I'll go
this year you're gonna miss out because you can't get over there.
Basically, why I'm wearing my Pals podcast shirt every day, $29.99, thepals.com, palspod.com. Yeah, so I basically, when I go to Florida, I'll buy like 4 shoes, like sneakers, whatever, low tops, high tops. I'll buy maybe like a pair of loafers. I'll buy 2 or 3 pairs of jeans, a bunch of dress shirts, swim trunks, everything. It's like $600 American. And I'm like, I know the quality isn't the greatest, but I'm going to get at least a year out of this until I come back to Florida the next year and buy it all over again.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, not really, because the Sawgrass Mills outlet, like, I went I bought quite a bit.
Sawgrass Mills, yeah. That's a top-of-line outlet, right? That's like the A1 outlet mall in probably like...
There's some sick shops
and probably,
there.
I don't know, North America. I don't know any better, but even the kind of little small ones in Fort Myers, I forget what it's called.
The one who went to that one?
I'm going blank. Oh my God.
Bought a North Face jacket there in the middle. We're in Florida. It's like 30 degrees and I bought a North Face winter like
and this guy says I buy things I don't need. You saw because it was a good deal.
It's a nice jacket.
And it's a good deal.
Fire jacket.
Sorry. Anyways, we're taking away from you here.
I know where we were at. I was going to answer your question about the bodysuits. So I decided to stick to that niche because I knew that I would succeed better, since I literally have no background in fashion other than my interests, and that's why it took me so long to develop over 5 to 6 months that one style, because it's like I had no idea what I was doing. Like I literally had no idea. When I decided to start, I was like, okay,
you had an idea.
Well, I had an idea, but I was like, okay, how do I start this? I need a pattern maker. Didn't even know that. Okay, let's find one on Kijiji. I have no idea about fabric properties, and if I knew about fabric properties, I would have been able to pick something that was more suited for what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things that play into it, and I thought if I tried to create a whole collection without having having a fashion design background, it just wouldn't work out.
Yeah, but I feel like you can appreciate when you finally got that piece that you were like, this is it. You can appreciate it so much more because you're looking back and you're thinking, like, to that first sample you got and you're like, for quote unquote, this is crap. And then it's like you finally get the good product that you love and you're so happy with. You're like, wow, like looking back 5 months before, it's like you got that first one. Like, is it even possible to make what I'm envisioning in my head? Because you know it's so hard. Like to get the first sample, you probably put so much work and energy and time and money into
blood,
it.
sweat, and tears, baby.
Yeah, right? And then it's like, and you got it back and you're like, I'm not happy with this. So then the next, I guess, 3-4 months to build it, each step one by one by one, and roadblocks in the way, and all these other things that are kind of hindering you. And then you finally get that one piece and it's like, yes, I did it. Like, thank God. It's your aha moment.
Well, it probably feels like you were on it. That's like your Everest. Like, that's what you wanted to do. That's your passion. That's like, you started with an idea. That must have been so gratifying how that first one that actually like, you're like, yeah, like this is it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just when you're in the process or during your journey, you're just like, how could this be? Like, nothing could be worse. And then like you get like, pushed down, discouraged so many times. But then when you look back, when you finally achieve something, you're like, it wouldn't even feel that great if I didn't struggle so much throughout the process. So it honestly comes full circle eventually. Just you have to be able to stick through that far. And I think that's also what defines like entrepreneurs versus people who don't really make it. It's like not giving up. Literally just like, how resilient can you be? Then you'll be fine.
Yeah. You'll be fine. It'll all work out.
We had a couple of ones that really come to mind of our recent episodes is Freddie Gervais and Kylie McLeod. So Kylie, when she was talking about Love Butter, Foreplay Love Butter, she said the first sample felt like just like a tub of like gross like moisturizer.
She said like, it was like coconut, like it just like was like a chunk of like
blob. Yeah. Almost. I can't remember the word she used.
Yeah.
And she was like, it was so disheartening. I think she like called her partner and started crying.
Yeah.
And then we had like Freddie Gervais come on talk about his company, Master Your Wellness, Mastermind. And
they do like CBD products and that.
And he was talking about like he's got so many ideas and his partners are like 9 out of 10 like, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. So there's so like with those entrepreneurs, you find that there's that common theme. It's like you have to stick with it. You have to be resilient. You have to keep pushing through those boundaries or else you're never going to reach the mountaintop, right? So I'm glad you said that.
One thing Freddie says, the way he describes it, he's like, I'm going to misrepresent what he said, but he's like, half the time I come up with ideas and he's like, I'm the smartest guy in the world. Like I have these ideas and I'm a genius. And I go tell people and they're like, you're an idiot. It's not going to work. And he's like, sometimes I got to reel it back and realign, but he's like, you have to be kind of crazy. Like, it's like, I think we both said like you have to kind of borderline like being like a genius, but also being a little bit like crazy in the head to like have this vision and stick through it even when you fail. When you try to do 5 months and it keeps like not working, like you got to be a little like.
Oh yeah. I mean they always say, and by they I mean people maybe that I look up to, that I listen to on podcasts, that I'm kind of taking advice from. You really have to like keep your blinders on. Like you really can't pay attention to what other people are doing, which is so hard, right?
Yeah.
But if you do, then you're going to take the feedback that maybe wasn't the one that you should have taken and then not go for that idea that could have been, your most successful one.
Your big break.
Yeah.
What was the one moment that sticks out in your head? Or if it was that Coachella one, but one that sticks out where you're like maybe this is not for me, maybe I got to give up. Was there ever a moment or you knew always like you wanted to do it?
No, there hasn't. So that's why I've like continued to do it. I like know that it's going to work out. I just like don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. Yeah. But I like know that it's going to be like there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. You've always said that, which I actually thought like I respect it. I'm also like,
you're like, did you change your mind?
Like, I'm actually curious because like a lot of like, I mean, with anything in life, like we have projects that we work on, we have this stuff, and like there's times the same thing where like we know, or like even when I do something, I know that like if I believe in this, I'm gonna do it, and it might not be as big or succeed. It might only impact a small portion of what I think it will, but I don't know. We're the same way. It's like you really like if you believe it, and like I don't know, maybe it is a stretch, but I believe like you do manifest something and you believe you can achieve it, and you just put your blinders on and work like you can. But again, some people they get discouraged and it's like, hey, maybe it's not for me, and they give up. Right?
At the end of the day, it's like F what other people think. Right? As long as you're happy with what you're doing and and you have that goal in mind and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, that's all that matters. Because like not for nothing, when you go to bed, I say this all the time. When you go to bed at night, like you're by yourself. Like, you could be with whoever. It doesn't matter. You close your eyes, you're in your own head, and if you're happy with what you did that day or that week or that month or the product you created, F everybody else. If you're happy with it, it'll show. And if you're passionate about it and you truly believe in what you're doing and what you're building and the product you're selling, people will buy it. That's how kind of, at least that's what I personally believe. I think I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, no, I believe in that as well. It seems like it doesn't make sense, but it's like if you're really passionate about it and it means something to you, people see that, and even just seeing that makes them want to buy it.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
That is a big thing. Sorry, that is a big part of it too. Like, what doesn't matter what line of work you're in. Like, if you own a restaurant, you're passionate about the food you serve. Even if it's not a Michelin star restaurant, if you care about the stuff you put into it and you can you convey that to your customers, they'll say, "Wow, this person really likes what they do," and they put a lot of passion into it. I mean, if you do a podcast and they hear you come across that way and you're really genuine about what you do and you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, people like buy into it, right? I mean, you're clearly doing something with like sustainability and all this stuff with your brand.
Locally
It's not,
sourced,
yeah.
yeah.
And like, I mean, it's not, I guess it doesn't seem like it's just about like the profits, if you will, and all that stuff. Like you're doing things with your heart and soul into them. So I guess people like, who knows when it'll hit, but I'm sure at some point people will see that what goes into it. And that's a big, like, you don't see that with too many brands out there these days, right? Seems like everyone's trying to make something, throw it on Instagram and sell it.
Well,
like,
everyone can do that. So unless you set yourself apart, like I don't think there's longevity to the brand that you're trying to build.
yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, how'd you come up with the name?
Lorena. So I actually came up with the entire.
I see the big smile coming
Sorry.
on. She's like, okay, I know there's a good story
Like-
now. Yes, good question, Ricky.
I came up with the entire concept of the brand, including the name, on a flight to New York for my 21st birthday, which is so in an hour and a half, I like got it all down.
Were you by yourself
Wow.
with friends?
I mean, I was sitting by myself, but like my mom, my friend and her friend were on the flight.
Okay.
It was
So
like a
you sat
girl's
down,
birthday.
drinking, no drinking?
No alcohol.
Wow, just
Sober thoughts.
valid question.
Yeah. Fair.
No, it's true. It's true. So I came up with Reyna because the first thing I was like, okay, I want the brand to be about, like obviously incorporating, you know, women and female figures and all of that, but not in a cheesy way that's overdone, because I know a lot of brands capitalize on that now. They're like, yeah, we're like female empowered and all of this, and I think that's important to consider, but I didn't want it to be like at the forefront in a cheesy way. So I came up with a concept, I think, before I came up with the name, and the concept that I wanted was to have 4 archetypes that represented the brand, and the 4 archetypes would be 4 different, you know, body shapes of women. So not saying, you know, there's only 4 body shapes, but it's like, you know, big boobs, big butt, big boobs, small boobs, no butt, and then no butt, big boobs, right?
Yeah.
Those are the 4. Yeah. I don't know if I overlapped, but so, and then I picked kind of iconic queen-like figures of the contemporary world to represent those. So it's not super distinct on our site, and it's something that we want to work on over time so that we can actually, you can pick the archetype that you sort
That
of
fits your body most.
yeah, that you resonate with, and then we can suggest the best styles for that. With those 4, so there's like Queen B, which is like the Beyonce body, Queen V, like Victoria Beckham, Queen D, Princess Diana, and Queen K, which is like Kim Kardashian, which is obviously the big tits, big butt girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got that one.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
And then with that, I was like, okay, I want, like, if that's what the brand is going to represent, then I want the name to tie into that. So Lorena means the queen in Spanish, and I'm half Spanish. So I was like, let me like add in some of my, you know, background into that. And then that's kind of basically how it all started. And then we decided to name the suits slightly like later on, but I wanted to name them in a way that would correlate with our whole, you know, idea. And so now all the suits take the last names of iconic queen-like figures. So you have the Moss, the Campbell, the Monroe.
Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell.
Yes.
Wow. I got a picture of Kate Moss right there. On that wall, far one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Icon.
And all the names are kind of going to be following that idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing kind of came together.
An hour and a half flight.
Yeah. I was just like, this
So you
is
got
it.
to New York. Were you like, I can't enjoy this trip, I need to work?
No.
Or was like, enjoy this trip when I get back?
I was like,
I'll start
yes,
to
like I
work.
finally got this. Now I can go back with like having, you know, progressed, I guess, a little bit.
That's crazy. And an hour and a half to come up with that. Like, that's pretty good. It's a great
It was
name.
probably
I think
lingering, but
right,
yeah.
but still,
It was
like,
probably on like the tip of your tongue and it just finally just came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
that's pretty cool. That's honestly
I
a really
like
cool
that.
story. Yeah.
Thank
Just on a
you.
flight to New York and like kind of like going to the, like, not fashion, maybe the fashion capital of North America. Is that fair?
The thing is, like New York, the first time I went, I was like, this is a dream. It was like, I just loved it. And like that feeling, I think, is what I correlated like me going to New York again, like for my birthday
Yeah,
this
yeah.
time, kind of meant for me. So when I was on the flight, I was like, okay, like I'm so excited, like to go to this massive city that's just like so inspiring. And I think that's kind of how, you know, the juices started flowing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
What's your favorite part about New York?
I just like how like grand it is. But now again, that's what I like about London as well, and it seems
Yeah.
even more grand and there's more history. But I don't know, New York, it just really inspires me. I don't know if it's because of the fashion scene, if it's because it feels like you can literally like do anything there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to like tap into like how I felt the first few times I went to New York. Now I've, you know, kind of been multiple times.
Yeah.
But I could live there no problem. I don't know about the pandemic living there situation, but I could definitely see myself
like all
living there.
things like pandemic excluded, would you, now that you live in London, between London and New York, which one appeals to you more?
I don't know. I feel like I haven't experienced London enough.
Okay.
Like my trip got cut short. I was there for 2 months, like on the dot.
2 months still a good amount of time though.
Yes.
Yeah, when you plan over 2 years, that's like,
I didn't plan.
Yes.
Well, I didn't plan for 2 years. That's the thing.
Okay.
Like, but I did. All of January, I was in trade shows.
Where, sorry?
February. I was doing trade shows
trade shows.
I was taking advantage that I was in Europe, and there's like so many trade shows in France, some in London as well, that I was going to. So I was gone most of the month. So that gave me like one
Yeah, only had
and
one
a
month.
half. Yeah. But I don't know. I always thought, I mean, I'm doing it backwards. Like London is where I could live and like, you know, raise a family or whatnot. And then New York is like where you go when you're younger and you're just like, you know, toughing it out. And it's just like anything goes because like whatever, it's
you're
New
in
York.
that like like that fashion world, just like meeting people, just like meeting brands, collaborating with people, all that stuff, and just moving nonstop.
Yeah, and partying obviously.
Yeah, it goes without saying. They kind of go. I mean, fashion that kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I could still go back and live in New York, but now I'm trying to think. You know, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I see myself in London the rest of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Like just because of like the circumstances now, or just
No.
after you've been there, it's like.
I don't know. Like I actually on the side babysit for a family in London, and they are pretty much like what I guess would be like the ideal situation.
Yeah,
you know, great family, live in a wonderful area. The parents are actually both American, and the kids have an English accent, and that's something I always like. Had.
Yeah, like
I was
cute
like,
little
I
kids.
want my kids to have English accents because
yeah.
then they sound so educated and proper and stuff.
Fair.
So it's literally, it's funny. It's like what I had envisioned, and it's literally in front of me, and I'm like a part of that for them. But I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know if this would be it. And also, I'd have to really think about, you know, for Reyna, would I be able to manufacture there? Maybe not. Not that that's necessary. There's also like Portugal and all that, depending on how much we scale. But I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, maybe LA would be good because I could have, you know, in terms of cost, it would be better. I could live there. I don't love LA for like the city and that and the culture, but I love it for the environment and the climate. Like it just makes me so happy when I'm there. I think it's the sun, obviously.
Yeah. I should have one question, but to your point of the manufacturing in London, they might not have that, but my guess is that like London would have more of like the pattern makers and the seamstresses and all that kind of stuff compared to Toronto. No? Is that a fair guess or not really?
I would say like New York, LA, London would all have more resources just because, I mean, those cities have had, maybe not LA just by fluke because there's like downtown Hollywood, which there's a lot of manufacturers and stuff. But the other cities are fashion capitals, right?
Right.
New York and London are like fashion capitals. So people have like validated, I guess, the fashion space a lot earlier on than we have here.
So the manufacturing might be a little tougher there, but like the other stuff to help build stuff, design stuff, and like come out with new concepts, that might be easier than say like Toronto, for example.
Yeah, I would just say it'd be more expensive in London is all I was thinking.
Fair.
Yeah.
What about Milan? Like, is Milan not? In my head, I'm thinking like Milan's the capital of the world in terms of fashion. Am I just out like?
No,
clueless,
it's there. No, it's there.
I mean, we talked about New York, we talked about London, we talked about Paris, we mentioned LA, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, Milan's like, when I think fashion, I think, you know, Milan.
No, Paris and Milan are both up there as well.
So I'm not that out.
No, those are the
to
main
lunch.
fashion weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Milan? It's Milan, right?
Milan.
Now I'm confused. You sounded like
Milan.
I thought you said Milan a couple times. Sorry.
Milan?
I was getting
Milan?
confused there.
Oh,
Sorry.
maybe I am.
Irrelevant.
Long day, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I've never been to Milan. Paris I've been to.
Milan's not great.
No?
I went for you love it.
Maybe I'm
I
not
just-
the one. I've never been, but I've heard it's beautiful.
I've never been. I'm not going to say I've
There's
never
like
been.
the Duomo and like that's it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Speaking of the Duomo, it's
Not my bad.
completely off topic. Did anyone watch Andrea Bocelli's performance?
No, I was.
So it was like maybe 3 weeks into quarantine, 2 weeks
Yeah.
into quarantine. He did this unbelievable, again, completely off topic, but he did
No,
this unbelievable performance at Il Duomo, and it just
for Easter, I think.
was it for Easter?
I
So
think
maybe about a month. Yeah, actually, it was for Easter. So it was a month and a half into quarantine, 2 months into quarantine, and oh my gosh, that guy I just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. Like,
Yeah.
it just chills
Oh,
how
yeah.
good he is.
You know, it's something
He's
funny. My
incredible.
sister, we have a family group chat. And she's like, I guess they were watching it. I kind of saw a bit of it, but I don't remember. Like, I don't know, I peeked at it. Like, it was on TV. Caught a glimpse of it. But my sister messaged her family group. She's like, "This is amazing, whatever." And like a day later, she's like, "Guys," she's like, "Did you know Andrea Bocelli's blind?
Blind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all knew that." She's like, "I never knew that my
Oh
entire
my God.
life. She never knew
What?
that." Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Wow.
like, the next day out of nowhere, she's like, "Yeah, he's blind." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I used to listen to him when I was my dad has a
Yeah,
good
just-
range of classic music that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were.
If I could sing
shown.
like that, oh,
Yeah, Andrea Bocelli. Isn't Pavarotti also? Pavarotti was older.
I think-
back in the
I
day.
think-
Is he dead?
I think so.
Oh, we might
I
have
know
to
I
fact-
say that. Yeah.
I'm gonna fact check that.
Vishal will fact check
Yeah.
that for us. We're good.
So your plan now?
I was gonna say I wanted
Oh.
to switch gears a little.
Go.
Yeah. Well, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say back to London. Like you're there until is it open ended now? Or are you gonna say till like August, September? What's like?
Yeah, I'd say open ended. I'm gonna look for an opportunity. One of the main goals I had in mind for moving to the UK, London specifically, was both to network with the fashion space because there's like you have so much access to so many things. All like some of the most incredible brands are based out of there, but also to immerse myself in a company that I can really learn from. And because I feel like throughout this process I've learned so many things that I'm like lacking almost, and I'm like, oh, I just like wish I knew more marketing, or I wish I knew more of this. And I feel like if I work for a company, get a bit of experience under my belt in a more corporate setting, that it would really benefit me and the growth of Reyna and in terms of like longevity.
Yeah.
So that's the goal now. Like I want to get a job. Hopefully I can get one in the next 2 months and then kind of go from there.
Okay.
Have you started looking out there?
There's like one job that I'm going to get. It's just like a matter of time.
It's just so you have your eyes set on.
I
it.
already talked to the hiring manager. I'm just like, the the job application keeps going on and off LinkedIn. I'm like, what is going on?
You're just like watching.
I'm
it.
like so anxious. I'm like
adding people on LinkedIn that like might be able to recommend you there.
100%.
Yeah. We all know that one.
But whatever, shameless, right?
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
So hopefully that works out. There's obviously some other brands too, but I feel like for those, it'll be harder to get an in. I was honestly like, I think I manifested this. I don't know how it happened.
Okay.
So hopefully it kind of follows through.
I hope it does, just because like the idea of like doing that when you see something you're like, I need this, I want
I'm
this,
like, it's a
manifesting
perfect
it
fit.
becomes
Yeah.
yours, right?
Yeah.
Is this like your dream job, or if it's not, is there one brand that would be like your dream brand to work for?
I've honestly never.
Reyna.
Such a cheesy
Well,
joke.
no, I was going to say, like, I've never thought, like, oh, I want to work here.
Okay.
I never thought about applying for jobs out of school. Like, I did freelance work for a while, and I still do some of it. And obviously, being a content creator is pretty freelance as well, because any collab is technically a new client. But I don't know. For me, I just never thought, oh, I want to work here. So maybe that means the head of Reyna will be.
That's it.
That's it
the
for
one
me.
man. Self-employed.
Yes. Side note too. Do you know Carolyn Baudry? She's
name
in
sounds
the
so
fashion
familiar.
space, and she moved to London, I think maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I should put you guys in touch because she's like
Please.
big in the fashion space. She used to work for some big designer. I can't remember who.
Yeah, she moved at the end of the Raps playoff. Or no. She's been there for a little longer. Because I saw her.
Yeah,
she
she was
sits
here
near
last
me at the
summer,
Raps,
yeah.
and
She
she
was
was
here
back
last
here.
summer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll put you in touch with her.
Yeah.
Carolyn, I don't know if you listen, Kara. If you do, hit her up.
Yes, please.
She probably doesn't listen, but like,
You never
hopefully
know.
she does.
Somebody who
No, I'll hit
talks
her
to
up. Her
Carolyn
sisters,
on
I think
yeah.
her sister models as well or something. And like,
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
something
They're
like
in the
that.
fashion space.
Yeah.
So we'll set can put you guys in touch.
Yeah.
Switching gears a bit, unless you got anything else. No.
Switch
I want
gears.
to talk about your podcast. I
Yeah,
love talking
let's
to people about
go.
their podcast. You know, again, one Freddie Gervaisi had one too. Nick Enriquez had one. Who else had his podcast that have been on our show?
That's it, I think.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we didn't get Meal. Did we get Meal on yet?
No, Mila
we
hasn't
haven't
been on.
got them on yet.
Yeah,
Wow,
we're gonna get
damn.
her.
Sorry,
the
Mila.
girls from Save Her Seat too. But
have a
tell us
few,
about your
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, so we launched our podcast. It's called In Case You Haven't Heard, and we launched it October of last year. So it's something that I actually always wanted to do. My like one goal of like 2019 was start a podcast, and
So you were cutting it close.
I was cutting it close.
You see how long it took me to say that? Gosh, got me off the air.
But the reason was because after, experiencing what it's like to be a solo entrepreneur and not having a business partner, I was like, I'm literally never starting a business without a business partner ever again.
Yeah.
Like I need, to find that balance. I need to have that other person, especially, if I have so many things going on already, I need to like have someone keep me accountable as well, which I think is important. So I met my friend and co-host Danielle that year as well through the influencer space. We were actually Instagram friends, and then, you know, it blew up from there. And she has this sort of in-person event called Saturday Social that was kind of like a live podcast situation, and that's kind of what she was explaining to me. And she'll like have people on as speakers, and she'll have, you know, she'll do, I think she hosts it quarterly usually.
Was this on Instagram, Facebook, or
in person? It was in person.
Awesome.
Yeah. So she had always liked the idea of a podcast, and we kind of talked about it, but not like super directly. And then one day when we were driving home from an event, because we would be our plus ones for all these events in Toronto, we're like, why don't we start a podcast? Like, this idea is sick. She's like, yeah, I love that idea. And the idea was we wanted to interview like and find out like the behind the scenes of what goes down in like people's daily lives, because we're like, people have so many misconceptions about the influencer space. So we're like, we can start with that. But, you know, selfishly, we also wanted to really like interview people who we admired. And we're like, if we can have that 1 hour conversation with people who we look up to, then it's like a win-win. It's just so, you know, gratifying. So yeah, we decided then, and then I think that was maybe in like May. And then in June, July, we pre-recorded our episodes, 4 episodes, because we wanted to drop 4 at once to kind of see if people like, you know, caught on to it. They'd have more episodes to listen to. And then we launched, in October finally. So
she released the 4th same time in October.
We dropped 4, and then we gave it 2 weeks off, and then we had 1 episode every Wednesday. Since then.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I know a lot of people do that. Like, we didn't. We said, we're going to do this. We recorded, we released it maybe a couple days later. We lined up another episode the following week.
We just kind of went with it.
Yeah, we did. Like, we had an idea. We had a rough plan that we were going to do 1 a week, but the more I read up on podcasts, and I'm part of a lot of like podcast support groups and whatever you want to call them.
Oh my God, really?
I am, yeah, low key. Like, I love it. I love podcasting.
Like, Rick, like, you know about, I don't know if you know, Rick is an influencer in the podcast world, in the Google review world, in the travel
Yelp
picture world. Yeah, I don't know. Rick is a lot of everything.
So I always said, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. And like, I'm going to try my hardest, and I'm going to put effort and energy into it. So we decided we were going to do this. We said we were going to do minimum a year, 52 episodes. We're basically,
this idea started in Florida, I think.
Yeah, Florida. So by the end of August, we'll be at 52 episodes.
Or like, it was your idea, I think.
Well, regardless, it was one of our ideas. We said we wanted to try something new. 2020, New Year's resolution, step out of our comfort zone. And even though and we said this on the podcast numerous times, though we like to talk, it's different when you're behind a microphone and you got hundreds or even some episodes, thousands of people listening, right? It's not easy. Like, there's times where I listen to myself and I'm like, I can't believe I actually sound like that. Like, do I really sound that stupid in real life?
Wait, did you say like too many I've caught myself do that.
There was one episode.
We don't do it as much as we used to.
Yeah, you get better.
So there's some episodes I listen to, and now I'm thinking about it, so I'm trying not to say
I never listen to a single one.
Yeah, so I listen.
Upload them and they're gone.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, so I actually love how, minus when I say like and all of that stuff, I really like how I sound. So when I heard it for the first time, I was like, this is great.
I think George's voice sounds great. I hate my voice, but the idea, and what I was getting back to is that you try and, I listen to myself and I try and get better. So when we first started this, I'm like, okay, podcast marketing, because if we're going to do this, we want to try and get some listeners and get it a little bit big. So I found that, okay, so I read a bunch of articles. Then one article took me to Facebook. So a Facebook podcast support group. Okay, perfect. Joined one of those. Then it led me to another one. Then I got a couple friends on Facebook from podcast support groups. So we all message each other. Then I created a couple Instagram support groups, because I'm like, you know what? I'm in all these Facebook ones. Might as well make a couple on Instagram. So now, I'm not kidding. I'm in probably 10 Facebook support groups, like 5 Instagram support groups. I have numerous friends on Instagram that I've never met, that I only talk to about podcasts.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, because I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. And George takes care of all the editing, and he kind of produces the podcast. My job is more of the marketing and the guests.
I also hate, and also like the support groups, all that stuff. I hate, like, I don't hate small talk on like in person on podcasts. I love it. I hate being like on small talk on my Instagram, like DMs, all that stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
You know, I'm the opposite. I'll sit there, like, some days I'm at the office late at maybe 7 o'clock, and I'm just not in the mood to do any more work. And I know I'm like, I need a 30-minute break. I'll go in one of these support groups. I'm like, everyone, if you want a 5-star review, hit me up. And boom, I'll get like 70 reviews. And I just sit there. Hey, I'll listen to the first 30 seconds.
You're actually the
Greg,
best.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, if you count the amount of 5-star either podcast reviews or Google reviews I've given just because people ask me nicely or because I've offered, like,
good karma.
probably like 500 to 1,000.
Well, you should rate and review our podcast as well.
I probably have already. Maybe I'll check. If I haven't, I'll give you a good review. Don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
So again, talking about your podcast. So you guys decided to do it, and sorry, I actually had one comment before too. I feel like when you said you were Instagram friends, I feel like women more than men are so supportive on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Someone was like, "Oh my
Big
God, you
hype
look so
women.
beautiful. Love
Yeah.
you. That dress. Wish I could look like you." And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't even think you guys know each other. Like,
Yeah.
how do you guys know each other? But women are so supportive
Yeah,
on Instagram.
no,
Or they
it's
meet one
true.
time and they're best
they're
friends,
best
and it's like
friends,
you see their
right?
comments on every picture, everything. Like,
Well, it's a mixture of that and also like I think commenting helps with the algorithm a little bit. So
Yeah, there's
There's a bit of that,
I know that
but-
one. I got that one.
And
Me
honest-
and my support groups, we got that.
So it kind of started, I think, as more that, but we saw each other at events time and time again, and then kind of built our relationship that way. And she's just like, I don't know, we're very different, but it works really well, and I think that's why it works really well.
Who's your favorite guest? I guess that's not a fair question. Which episode was the one you enjoyed the most, and why? We don't talk much fashion on this, so you can say it. Maybe your listeners don't listen to ours.
Well, our guests are, they're in from every different
Okay.
type of career path, so that's what's interesting. It's really about interviewing people and finding out the behind the scenes of the day in the life of what they do, whether they are an entrepreneur, whether they're an athlete, whether they're an actor. Like, it doesn't really matter, because we wanted to kind of break assumptions, and that's what we do at the end of each podcast, like assumptions that they might have had before getting into what they're doing versus what their experience has been. But I don't know, I'm trying to think. We've had some really good ones. When you like interview a guest and then you reach a point, you're just like, okay, like that's gonna be like the quote that we pull or whatever,
we do this all the time.
Yeah, so that's, I think one of those episodes would probably be it, but I'm honestly struggling to pick one
Yeah.
right now.
well, like for us, we always say this. Like for us, it's funny. Like there's so many episodes we go into and we're like, wow, this one's gonna be great. We have like a celebrity coming on, like a pro athlete coming on, like whatever. And the ones we think that are gonna be like so much fun, it's like, not that they're not fun, but they're just different. Like with those ones, it's amazing to hear someone's story that would have never known. But then also there's ones where we have like our friends on and stuff, and it's like, okay, what are we gonna talk about? Like they're our friends. Like they're doing cool stuff, but we're gonna fill like an hour and a half with that. And then those episodes are like, we find another side of
we're
our
at 90
friends that we
minutes.
had no idea, and we're like 2 hours in, we're like, hey, we gotta cut this at some point. Like,
Yeah.
so I think like on our side, I haven't had one that's like my favorite, and I wouldn't say one guest better than the other, but like I think the ones where you have people on that I find for us, like the conversation is cool because you find a different side, because so many people you talk in social settings or like at the bar or just like small talk. So when you actually sit down and have a genuine conversation with one of your friends or someone you like know in passing, I find those are cool because you just like, they open up and you see a different side of them.
And that's what I do love about the podcast too. It's like you do get like an authentic conversation with someone, and like they're gonna just like kind of tell you everything about them versus, again, small talk or talking to someone at a party or whatnot. I think too, that actually just came to my mind after you said that. They're both friends of mine. One is like more of an acquaintance than a friend, so I know them, but like when we sat down with, one's a YouTuber and one is the co-founder of, so her name's Rachel Spencer, she's a YouTuber, and the other one is a co-founder of Nude Sticks, which is a makeup line sold at Sephora worldwide. Wow. Both from Toronto. But just like hearing like the story of like their journey, like we both hit that point, like mid conversation, we're like, okay, this is like so good, and you just like feel like that warm fuzzy feeling.
And honestly, to echo what George said too, there's like one of our best friends, DB, like we're best friends with this guy. Like we talk almost every single day, and we talked about gaming, and I'm just like, what, how did I not know that like my best friend is like a top 20 gamer in Canada?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
we did not know
and
this.
we're talking, I'm like,
and I also
what is
play
that?
video games with him. So like we play, and I talk to him while playing video games, and I did not
And
know
we're
this.
talking, we're like,
until we brought him
oh
on the
my
podcast.
God.
and he starts
He's-
telling us about like esports and like there's like they fill arenas, and I'm like, what in the world are like, do I live under a rock?
Yeah.
I feel like guys aren't as like transparent about the other things that they're doing, like with
Apparently
their friends,
not.
as
Yeah.
girls are.
Yeah.
I think it also matters to the person. Like, it's like For me, most people kind of know what, I mean, us in general.
Yeah.
Most people know what we're about.
I tell
like,
everyone what I'm doing. They know every single thing.
Yeah,
you
like,
know?
I mean, I don't have much to hide. I'm pretty much an open book with anybody. Like, sometimes I overshare, but like, for the most part, if someone asks me, hey, how you doing? Like, how was your day? Like, I'll tell you how my day was. Like, I'm not like, oh, it was good, and I'll end it. Like, I'll tell you. If you want to know, if you ask me how my day was, you're going to know how my day was.
Or else, if George just says good, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, I'm probably
Pissed
probably
or hungover
or something.
or hungry.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like literally one of our best friends, like we knew we played video games, but not really. And like, he just went on this like crazy like tangent for 20 minutes about sports. And like, we didn't even intend to talk about that. But even carrying over from that too, like one of the ones that I still to this day really like was like when you had, what do you think I'm going to say?
Kia.
Oh, I liked him, but that wasn't what I was going to say. Kia was just funny. It was really funny. Ernesto, when he came on.
Ernesto, yeah.
You know Ernesto? The neighborhood creative. Neighborhood creative?
Yeah, he does a lot of influencer stuff too. Yeah,
Influencer marketing, like all this stuff.
I feel like it's
We'll
more
put you guys in
recent.
touch. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I think I listened to that.
He's
one.
like
We'll put you in
he
touch.
started being a promoter. Actually, started with like
Yeah.
Ricky and Alexander back in the day promoting, and then
Okay.
like, anyways, kept going through marketing. But the reason I thought it was cool is because like, number one, he came out and like just blatantly said he's like sorry, let me back up a second. He's very like active on social media. He started his marketing firm, his marketing company, and they do a lot of like social media related stuff, but also like he does a little bit of everything. But what I thought was cool was that like he's had 2 startups like fail. And he came on and said, like, I learned from, well, like they grew and they didn't go where he wanted them to. He had some falling with his partners, but like he said, I learned this from this. I learned this from this. This is what I do now. And like, even since that episode, like he'll message me, be like, what's up? How's this going? He'll hype up our episodes, like all this stuff.
He'll
And like,
share everything.
And I didn't know. I thought it was just a guy, like, you know, you see people go into marketing from promotions. You think that they just like, you know, they sit in an office and,
Yeah, it's a natural fit.
and but you think they just like do flyers and stuff like
But
all
that's
this.
what he said at the beginning too. Remember?
He did.
Yeah.
But he got an office. Like he started his own thing. And like, I don't know. That was what I did not expect it to go for like 2 hours. And that was like, yeah, it was really cool. Talking to people that like you don't expect what they're actually doing, I guess. And like, then it was what they share and what they've learned along the way. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, people can surprise you in like
Yeah.
an awesome way. So.
That's what this is also, sorry, that's what this also kind of taught me, not to judge, like even more so, like don't judge you at face value. Like you see someone doing something or working in one space or doing like whatever, like there's so much more to the story, and most people again don't share everything right away, so you can see it and be like, oh yeah, he's doing this or he's that or whatever, but there's so much more to the story behind the scenes, and if you can kind of like break through that surface, it makes for a lot better like conversation.
And I think we've been bringing on a lot of like very interesting guests, and that's the idea behind every guest we bring on, that we want them to have, we want to bring on people who have an interesting story, who work hard, entrepreneurs, athletes, Olympians, musicians, DJs, whatever. Just because a lot of them have such interesting stories, and we always, again, a lot of the time we have that idea of that perseverance. A lot of people have faced roadblocks, like even yourself when you got your first sample and you're like, oh my God, like, there's that common theme of battling perseverance and overcoming perseverance. So, and I think we've done an honestly amazing job with our guest.
We had great guests.
There's not one episode where I walk out and I'm like, damn, like that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Every episode I walk out and
this one is also fun. Honestly, really cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear your story. Like I didn't know about the crying at Coachella, which is cool. I kind of knew like a little bit of the story, which I thought would be cool to get you on, because like again, you've done like from vlogging to this to starting your own fashion brand, which a lot of people like taking that. It's a lot of stuff. Like we have 2 of us managing what we do, and like so to take that on by yourself is pretty impressive.
No comment.
one more thing. How did, and I hate talking about COVID, but how did COVID affect your podcast?
Oh, it affected in a positive way. Now,
Really?
yeah. So it's affected many parts of my business, but all in positive ways.
Really?
So for the pod, I'll start with that. We are now able to get guests on that we would have never had access to because people are cool with Zoom calls.
Yeah.
So that's something that we like. Like we had the founder of Kapari on, which was amazing. And she's, in California. And we've just, I think we managed to, pump out so much content over the past 3-ish months. That's going to, take us through our interviews for the rest of the summer because of this. So it hasn't affected us at all negatively. And I do also think people have, been spending more time at home, more time to listen. So they've been engaged more in listening to podcasts. Yeah. And then actually for Reyna, we launched scrunchies like right when COVID happened by accident. I just like hadn't put them up yet because I was in the UK and like I had to shoot them, whatever. they literally like sustained our entire business throughout
Really?
the first month and a half of quarantine. And that's what, or COVID. And that's exactly what gave me the idea that we needed to pivot our business model and launch a new product line, because I saw people want to support us. They want to support our brand. They just need something that they can buy into. So like, what can we do? So that's kind of how I thought, let's do tops. If not, I honestly do not think that we would have even thought of that. Yeah.
That's interesting, because a lot of like, and I hate to say it, but COVID destroyed a lot of businesses, and especially small businesses too, right? So the fact that you saw a lot of positives from that, that's amazing.
Yeah, no,
And our podcast took a beating.
Yeah.
really?
Beating.
For we stopped recording for 3 weeks too.
Well, yeah,
Well,
we stopped
that's why
recording, then we did a
consistency is
couple over the
key.
phone. We couldn't, like, we didn't do Skype right away. And then even when we did Skype, we had some quality issues on them. So it, honestly, we were doing first 2 months, we were, I'm not saying killing it, sorry, that's not the right word, but
We had a good
were,
trajectory.
yeah, we were doing very well. Like our first couple episodes, you know, we were like, we're going to get maybe 100 listeners. We had like 700 our first episode. We're like, that's amazing. And anybody's wondering the numbers, there they are. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so we did 700.
I also don't check the numbers. Like Ricky tells me all of. I don't check the numbers. I don't
Oh
watch
my
the
God, you're so
episodes.
funny.
I upload it and I leave it, and that's
yeah,
it.
I want to see how we're doing.
Whatever
right?
happens,
And
happens.
You want to know, and I hate to say that viewers or downloads is a good idea of how you're doing, because if me and George are happy with it, we're happy with it regardless of the numbers. But there's some episodes where like we leave it, that was awesome, that was amazing, this one's gonna crush it, and we're like, wait a second, we just got
like
500,
100, 200,
no,
300.
no.
Not on the early on
Yeah,
ones.
and
Still
the
there,
early
but
on, like,
even the
during
COVID one.
Yeah, the
It's
COVID
like
ones.
try not to expose the numbers now.
No,
guys.
no, I'll tell them. So our
like
COVID,
the first one out of COVID, we had a doctor on, like a doctor of
we thought
Wait, I listened to
infectious
that.
diseases.
I listened
Yeah.
to that one.
we're like, this episode
it was
is
the
gonna
first
blow
week,
us up.
first or second
It
week.
was via Skype.
No, over
It
the
was like
phone. but-
phone to like the mic, but it still didn't sound as
Yeah,
wasn't. It
quality
didn't
wasn't
sound our
bad.
worst. Some of our Skype ones were our worst.
Yeah.
With the phone to the mic, I thought it sounded okay because it was clear. It never cut out.
It never cut out. That was the
But
thing.
I'm like, this is during the start of the pandemic. We have a doctor of
weeks in,
infectious
3 weeks
disease
in.
who was literally living in like Argentina or somewhere in South America,
Yeah.
studying like this disease.
and he came back and we're like,
And
he's on
like,
the front line.
One of our like not our worst, but just like at the time, it didn't like we thought it was gonna like take off.
we literally thought overnight
Because
we're
the
gonna get
content
1,000.
was so, you know,
It's so
with the
relevant.
times,
We had
yeah.
a legit guest that is a specialist in this exact.
He was so
area.
smart too. I was like, after stuff, I was like, I have
we
no idea what
got
he's
him
talking
on.
about, but
We thought we were gonna, honestly, like, I'm not even kidding. I thought we were gonna 1,000 overnight, easy. 1,000 overnight, easy. This
Yeah.
episode's gonna hit 10,000. I think we got like 150 overnight.
Yeah.
And like, it
It's
ended up hitting
grown,
like
but,
400 or
like-
500, whatever. But if you took all our podcasts, it's on the lower half.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And it was a great conversation too.
Oh
like,
my God,
it
it
was
was awesome.
educational and like funny. We had some good jokes in there. Like, and then boom, it
I
just
think you made a joke that he didn't really like catch on and just completely ignored the
was
joke.
silent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some COVID destroyed our numbers. Not destroyed, sorry, but now we're back up to where
Yeah.
we were before.
And
but
the numbers are also important, like if you are trying to get, you know, sponsors and stuff like that down the line, right? So
Yeah.
you do need to, you know, have something to show for your growth.
talking, I know we were talking about this before. Tell us about your sponsor.
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 Because we only had one.
Well,
so
no, it
far.
still doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, we had one sponsor so far. It's definitely, you know, something that we want to do more, because as much as we love the pod, it needs to be, you know,
worth
profitable.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
With everything else going on. But we had a guest actually. So they sponsored the episode, but then she also wanted to be a guest. So it kind of worked out. And she was a dating coach. So she has a platform. It's basically like a dating site, but it's called Shift Dating, and it goes through all of your website or all of your profiles and like makes them better for you if like you have no idea how to set up your profile on like Bumble or Hinge or whatever, and like does all of like the talking for you until like you get to the point where like they're like, okay, yeah, this guy's like what you want or this guy isn't.
Yeah.
So they basically do all the dirty work for you, and they're like, yeah, now you can go on the date, which is pretty dope. I
Yeah,
feel like
man.
it like takes all the
I
annoying
thought you
stuff
were gonna
out
make
of
a
it.
joke.
I was gonna.
Because I'm the one that gets
okay.
chirped for this stuff.
It's
always.
okay. It's okay. I won't make a joke at you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't
But what was good about about the episode and having her on was more that, you know, we were talking about dating, and our dating episodes are some of our best. So
Yeah, we've never done a dating episode. Well, we had Bex on, so it's not a dating episode, but it was my girlfriend. So
yeah, well, you could
technically it is a dating episode, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't really talk about dating, but
no. So I mean,
we've never had like a sex or dating episode. Maybe we should.
that
do
would
one.
be good. Or even if you talked to like, if this conversation was nothing about me and we just talked about like dating perspective, like I feel like that's what people like.
Like a male to female perspective kind of thing. And
Yeah,
We'll try it out.
I mean, I love listening to guys' podcasts. I don't know why, like more
Really?
Yeah, almost
Well,
more.
I do, but all the
really.
podcasts I
Like,
listen to are male dominated.
Do you
Same.
listen to Medium Rare?
Yeah, sometimes, not all the
Like,
time.
I'm obsessed, and I don't know why.
Well, do you know Zach, Kai, and Levi? Or?
I know Zach, and
So,
like
yeah,
I know
once
Kai
you
and
know
Levi.
them, it's a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if
From
I didn't know
Toronto.
them, I wouldn't listen to it.
But it's funny 'cause you
their
can,
podcast
like-
is huge, by the way, like huge.
Well, yeah, they
I was talking to Zach about it the other
clout.
day, and I'm like,
Clout is
man, that's
key.
crazy.
Clout is key.
What's
Like for me, I mean, just the position I'm in and what I do for a living, I can't really go
Yeah.
down that, or both of us can't really
Yeah.
go down that vertical.
Oh,
of-
for
of
sure. They're all
talking.
influencers, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of works.
even just me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable talking on camera like that.
See, like I would, but like I know I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I talked.
You would feel comfortable talking with the same kind of stuff? Like,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I
kudos
mean,
to you.
I'm pretty like, I don't know. I'm just like very open. Whereas my co-host is like not, because we actually thought about applying to, like, for Call Her Daddy to Barstool, not for Call Her Daddy, but they were looking for new podcasts
Yeah,
when
yeah.
all that shit went down. And I was like, we could either like do a mock-up episode or like a sample episode that's like more in that realm, which I could do no problem, but she's just like not as open, I
Yeah, which
guess.
is
And
fair.
she's also like in a relationship and I'm single, so it's different perspectives.
Yeah.
When I talked to Zach about Medium Rare, I ran into him a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, like, "Oh, how's it going?" He goes, "It's awesome. Like theirs is like we have no problem getting guests on. Anybody we ask, they're always so excited to come on, and even like we'll send like celebs DMs, and a lot of them will say yes. The ones that read it, at least.
Our fourth guest was like an Olympic gold
Yeah, our
medalist.
fourth guest on Olympic gold
So you
medal.
didn't know him?
Our first,
No.
no. DM.
Oh,
Yeah, we just
sick.
bring it-
That's the difference. Like I do all technical, and he just shoots his shots on Instagram.
I'll hit up like anybody.
Like, if you,
There's
like,
one
our,
day.
our Instagram is like if I open it, it's just like A-listers, and
So
it, like and some like no, like but the crazy part is like
Some
as we're getting
respond,
closer,
yeah.
like we have some big guests, like
We
close to
can't
being,
say 'em, yeah, we
we
can't
can't
say
say, but we have some pretty big ones close to being lined up, which like pretty
which
cool.
would be exciting. But
yeah.
like even before like the NFL draft, I literally went on Instagram. I took the top 32 projected players and I hit them all up.
Yeah.
Not one responded. Not one read it. Don't care.
Yeah.
No.
NHL drafts in a month. Boom. Kids, let's
All
go.
of
I'm gonna
them.
fire up all 32 of them.
But there you go.
I have no
if you
problem.
don't ask, the answer is always no.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
you have to shoot your shot.
But what I was saying with Zach, so he says that people don't want to come on his podcast, and like I get it because it's literally rated R, and you never
Yeah.
know what they're gonna ask. So with ours, it's a little bit different. But the episodes I have listened to them for them are good.
Yeah.
Again, just completely different. Than
Very,
ours.
very the opposite of ours.
It's
yeah,
like,
but
it's just I can listen to and I'm like driving and I'm like,
Yeah, 'cause
this
it's
is-
funny-
and
it's
I'm
funny
like laughing.
conversation.
I'm like, oh my god, this is hilarious. But
yeah.
like,
Sometimes you
also-
need those ones. Like, you need like a good mix, right? Some stuff you want to learn from, other ones you want to play and just laugh and like hear kind of funny stories and just like
Yeah.
you know.
Well, for them, more of their downloads come from YouTube than actual like their
I know that's why YouTube's
Apple
so
or Spotify.
key.
And they I think get some episodes get like 50,000, 80,000 listens or downloads.
Well, Kai and Levi both vlog.
Yeah,
Still,
that's
And
insane.
Zach kind of. I don't know if Zach
Zach
does.
still
he only
does too.
vlogs his like vacation
Travel
Yeah.
stuff?
travels. Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah,
They
but the thing is,
crush.
too, the good thing is like if you do through YouTube, you
Kai
obviously
is
get,
like huge on
Yeah,
YouTube.
YouTube.
yeah. Well, he's like he's a prop. Well, they're all I guess taken by influencers, but like Kai's done stuff with like Grey Goose, I think, and like some
Canada
other
Goose and
actual
stuff,
brands,
yeah.
Foot Locker, something I saw on
Yeah.
Instagram once. But like YouTube, the difference between like how we do it and upload to like Spotify and Apple. Like you don't get paid by them. YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you're getting paid directly through them. So if you're bigger
Well, we
on
do
YouTube,
release on YouTube now. It is live on YouTube. You can find us there.
yeah. YouTube hasn't taken off yet. We have more views on What was the most views on Apple, Spotify?
Every episode's different. It all depends, like, kind of who shares it and
Yeah,
what link they share.
The best. You know how many people thought? So did you see we posted a video on our pals thing about like we're exclusive to like Spotify or something?
I was like, Danielle, what is this? I'm like, how the fuck did they get there? Because I was like, what is going on? But like, I couldn't.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay,
tell me more.
No, but that's the thing is like
You just mean you got on Spotify and it took you a long time to get on it.
no. So so that's the thing. If people see
little
this,
competitive
explain
here.
this. Let's explain, because
this
nobody
thing,
really
yeah,
knows.
This thing went over everyone's head. I got so many congratulatory DMs.
So
like
insane.
So Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
God, it's
okay,
$100
that's-
million deal.
podcaster in the world.
So we're sitting here. We just finished an episode. I don't know who it was, and we're like, Rick's like, "Yo, we gotta jump on this right now." I'm like, "Are you crazy?" He's like, "No, we gotta make something funny
Let's
that
do a
we're
stupid video,
that
like,
we got an
whatever."
exclusive deal with Spotify or something." So we're like, "Okay, let's shoot a quick video." We put our phone down on the couch downstairs. Like, I picked up a spoon and he had like tongs.
Yeah.
And like, so people, first of all, we try to make it as light as possible. Like, we're even holding real mics, so like people are gonna think it's a joke. So we're like, yeah, it's exclusive to Spotify. You'll find us only on Spotify. Like, sign a big multi-million-dollar deal. And the amount of people that
And like at the end of the
my
video,
DMs
George gets up, like picks his wedgie and says,
yeah,
"This
like
is funny."
I literally was in like
And
running
we're just
shorts that
like-
were this high. Like I looked like I was wearing a thong, and like I had to like pull it down. I thought it was like no one's gonna know this is serious.
Well-
I had like 20 DMs,
Yeah.
like my mom and family, but like they're
Everyone's
like, "Wow, congrats, Spotify! It's amazing." I was
You
like,
guys deserve this. You work so hard.
yeah.
I'm like,
and I was like, I
What?
don't think they know this was a joke, and I didn't want to tell people after.
I didn't tell anybody. I was like, "Thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the kind
Well,
words."
now you guys know.
Yeah,
we were
now you
always
know.
on Spotify, but like we wanted to make it seem like we got paid a lot of money because we were legit.
I was honestly like, what the fuck?
No, but honestly, like the idea of like,
I don't think I even messaged you because I was like, no, there's no way. Like, I need to like figure this out on my own.
Wow, couldn't even ask us.
couldn't even
eh?
give us a congratulations, eh?
Well, I was like, oh, maybe like they're promoting the Joe Rogan, but like I just
Yeah,
I
a
needed
lot
to,
of don't like. I was thinking, like, I still to this day, I still get people been like, "Wow, Spotify, great job." I was like, man, like our podcast has been on Spotify from day one.
It was actually on Spotify before Apple.
yeah. Which one's? It's Apple that's harder.
Apple takes
right?
longer, yeah.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
At the beginning.
Now
Yeah.
they're both pretty easy, but sometimes with Apple, for some reason, it doesn't download to everybody's phone right away.
Yeah.
So we release the episodes the night before, and then we'll post about them the next day at like noon or 5-6 o'clock.
Are you guys on Anchor?
No, we're Podbean.
Okay, we're like ours is annoying. We can't actually upload it the night before. We have to upload it the day of, and we have to choose then that the day before was the day we upload it. If that makes sense. Like, say it's Wednesday, we upload at like 8 a.m., but like it'll say like only give you options for Tuesday up until 11:45. So then I'm like, our episode then kind of like is pushed down.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's
and we're
interesting.
with. Well, we don't like our host, but we can't really seem to convert. We wanted to go to Anchor, and we'd have to like literally re-upload every episode.
Yeah, we're with Podbean, and so far so good.
Yeah.
I enjoy Podbean.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I spent like a day researching before we did this, like started our podcast. I said like, what's the best hosting site, and it was like 3 of them. So Podbean seemed to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Anchor's good too, though.
Anchor's great because they.
That's what my
just-
support groups say. I think Anchor
they
created one of them. Yeah.
They distribute all of your episode to all the platforms. I think that's why they make it like easier for you.
Well, Anchor also, Podbean does this as well. They have, you can put your podcast up for like potential advertisers to advertise. But the thing is, you don't know who it is. So you just say, I can have a 15-second spot here. But again, you can get a random company that has nothing to do
This is
with
what your support groups told you.
No, honestly, it's fact. Thank you. We could, but like,
I thought you might have been like telling us something your support groups told you.
we can put our podcast, like submit it or just open it up to advertisers, but then you get a random advertiser, like not for nothing. I don't want a diaper company advertising on our podcast.
Yeah, it's
like
not a
all,
fit.
even
Not
even if
relevant,
it
yeah.
was a little bit of money, not for nothing. I don't care about the money. I'd rather work with brands that we like and we support. And so
Yeah.
far, every brand we've worked with is brands that we support.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think our first one was Storyteller Beer.
Yeah.
Beverages. So they gave us a couple 12 packs or whatever. That was awesome.
2 4s, yeah, 12 packs.
We
yeah.
had Ilberry and Goose has done a couple things with us, and they're phenomenal. Recently,
Do you know about Ilberry and Goose at all? They're based out of London, Ontario. Dan Phillips started the brand. Like I think when we were in
He's coming
university,
on the pod too.
He started making like T-shirts, like just like T-shirts with their logo, like typical like
and hats.
yeah. And then it's like blown up. And he's got a store where he makes like all Canadian made products. Like they got like clothing, they got apothecary stuff. If I had to
Candles,
describe it, it's kind of like a mix of like Roots, like a Roots type store with like maybe like a store you'd find up north kind of thing.
Roots is a good example. Yeah,
like flannels,
they sell
throw
everything.
like,
Like
yeah.
flags, blankets, candles,
like a very
socks,
Northern Canadian brand.
belts, wallets, stickers, everything.
Yeah.
So they sponsored a
They do
couple.
collabs too.
Yeah,
They do a lot of collabs.
Cool.
We'll
set you
connect
up.
you with Dan.
but even,
Honestly, they're great people.
yeah, and even recently we had Universal sponsor us, and that's a brand that I take. I enjoy their supplements prior to this too. So then you get sponsored from a company like that, and it's awesome because it's a brand I believe in.
Yeah.
They didn't pay us, but we got all this amazing product.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I imagine getting sponsored by something that you don't like. And you're like, oh crap, that's on my podcast. People listen to it and they associate us with that.
I should probably stop selecting that feature then on
Do you?
Podbean. Yeah, I
Damn.
can now that I upload.
George
I
is
get
trying-
that money.
George is trying to get us those crappy sponsors. Damn.
I don't even listen to the episode, so even if they upload one,
George wouldn't even know. George wouldn't even know. He'd get a
Yeah.
message from like our moms and be
Yeah.
like, George, what's this random?
Yeah, I literally don't listen.
know.
Do you watch? So when you did your vlogs, do you watch your vlogs? Like not when you're editing. Well, I guess that's different because like you're editing.
I'm honestly
so,
like, I think I'm more like, I'm a lazy like editor / whatever. So like I want to do it and just like do it and like put it up.
Yeah.
Same with like our our episodes. Like we have an editor, but my co-host, she listens through the episode and makes the cuts. And then if there's something that we need to go
George,
over,
you hear that?
I'll go over it. But then when she uploads, I normally don't listen to our episodes either, but depending on the guest.
Yeah.
I usually listen to every single episode because I
She
also have
checks
to
the
find
downloads. I
need
don't.
to check
I'm
that
like, how are we
1 minute
doing? Okay, sick.
I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
I need to find that also on Instagram we post like little clips. I need to find that. But actually, big announcement coming soon to the Pals podcast. We may potentially have a third person involved in the podcast.
Yeah.
Not a host,
Might
but
have
a manager, producer coming
Yeah.
on the podcast. Very exciting news.
legit. Shout out to
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah, so we
But
got
see, like,
to,
oh yeah, like
Did you find them in the pod groups?
no, I actually didn't. I didn't post
amazing.
it.
Your joke got called back twice fast.
I love it.
I don't know if you've ever heard. We always bring this up, but like how Ricky always has this thing where like
I'm a comedian.
He finds a good joke that people like the guests like all laugh and the guests will laugh. So then he's like, "I got it." So like halfway through the episode, he brings it up again. Like he'll make a reference to it. Then like 3/4, and then at the end, I'll do it one last time.
Strategy.
But like we just did it like twice.
Yeah.
Kind of and
Like, man, I'm brushing off on people. I'm making the podcast.
We're taking your own style.
No,
buddy.
Nick Enriquez, when I re-listened to the full episode, I laughed at every time we brought it up. And the best was when Nick brought it up too. I died.
What
but,
was the joke on that?
I'm going to release everybody's unreleased music.
Oh yeah,
That was a good one.
he was a good guy.
Yeah, but no, I didn't. We found it as a friend,
Yeah, we got some
friend
big
of a friend.
announcements
So,
coming up. Some big
yeah, you'll hear
announcements.
about it on the podcast soon.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we have two questions that we usually ask before we start to wrap it up. I'll start. The first is, if there's a movie about your life, who would you want to star as you? Anybody at any point in time.
I feel like I never heard this on any previous podcast episodes, and I couldn't
You
have
don't listen to the
prepared.
end. Gosh.
We literally, yeah, I mean, you don't listen
Every
to the end,
episode.
every episode.
Maybe I don't listen to the end.
We started this maybe week 7.
It's okay, I don't listen to them either, so I don't blame you.
But Joe, you're sitting here.
Who would I want to
True.
play me? Maybe Rachel McAdams.
Well, that's a good one. I like that.
She's like
She's
really
Canadian too.
She's Canadian. She is really good at like different types of roles, and yeah,
It's a good answer.
I would have said Jennifer Lawrence.
she's not my girl.
No?
No?
I don't know.
All right, it's fair. Teach them.
I love Jennifer Lawrence.
I got a good Jennifer Lawrence one there.
What do you mean? Oh, you got it, that
Yeah,
vibe?
That's the vibe I got. Jennifer Lawrence. She's talented. She's good.
Yeah.
But if you don't like her,
I mean, I didn't really have an answer.
can't really force the answer on you. But if you want
I
Jennifer
think
Lawrence,
it's her
you can
answer,
say-
okay? Rachel
You
McAdams.
could, yeah.
My question: if you could give a piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Now I know you don't listen to the end of the podcast.
No. This is the question.
Now I know you don't.
Since day one, we had this question.
No, this is a question on many podcasts, by the way.
Is it?
I just
Fuck.
want to make sure I'm giving the right answer.
I thought this was unique to us, man. I was so proud of the day I came up with this question. It was like our third episode in. Or was it maybe our fourth? Anyways.
It was the first time we had a guest. But
Yeah.
I think I've switched it around recently because I actually just did like a bio thing for myself, for my brand. And I think what I would say to my younger self would be like, as long as you can surround yourself around like a good support system, like you can kind of do whatever you want to do. It really comes down to that. Again, it's being, resilient and persevering. But if you have a support system around you, like you'll be able to achieve whatever. And that's something that I learned more recently through my experience. I was like, how am I even doing this? And it's really because of the people, who have had my back, whether it be my family. And like, yes, I'm a solo entrepreneur and like I'm doing everything by myself, but there really is, people who like love me and like are constantly, feeding me something, even if it's not directly correlated to my work. It's like to my emotions or to my, just, I guess, like happiness and overall well-being.
I like it. No
Yeah.
I in team.
Yeah.
No, I team.
Yeah, I like it.
Honestly, it's true. Yeah, you definitely need to have surround yourself with the right people because you can really do anything. But if you have people that are like either jealous of your success or they knock you down or they don't kind of guide you in their direction, like, I mean, you can only get so far.
Or if you're completely isolated, like if you really have no one there, like nowhere, it's like you can't really like get through it, because you need people to kind of check in on you. Like you're going through an emotional roller coaster like day in and day out, and you really, when you're having your low lows, depending on how strong of a person you are, like that can, be super detrimental to your mental health.
Yeah.
So
It's great advice.
I like it.
That's a good, it's a good note there.
Yeah. If people want to find out more about you, your brand, where can they find you?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Kristina Pittam, or my brand, Reyna, at Reyna by KP. And our podcast is You Haven't Heard Podcast.
Perfect. We'll share everything online. And Other than that, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Thank you guys so much.
Of course,
It was a lot of
thanks.
fun.
A lot of fun having you on.
Safe travels back to the UK.
Thank you.
Be safe.
I know.
Do you have to quarantine when you get there?
We don't right now. I'm not going to wear a hazmat suit, but I will have my mask and gloves on. So.
Smart. Okay, well, enjoy your time there, and best of luck with the brand.
Thank you.
All right.
Signing off, pals.
Peace.
Peace.
You like to drink and to smoke to take away the pain. Don't remember all of my mistakes and every high. Got alone with no one thing. You're not alright. I'm not alright.